My scripture reading for this morning, excuse me, is taken from Matthew's 13th chapter, 31st through the 32nd verse. And this is Jesus speaking. Matthew's the 31st verse in the 13th chapter. Another parable put he forth unto them, saying, the kingdom of heaven is like to a grain of mustard seed, which a man took and sowed it in his field, which indeed is the least of all seeds. But when it is grown, it is the greatest among the herbs, and becometh a tree, so that the birds of the air come and lodge in the branches thereof. Thus is the scripture reading of Matthew's the 13th chapter, 31st through the 32nd verse. Again, I say unto you, good morning. You know, many years ago in a service, there was someone that said to me, if your faith is greater or larger than a mustard seed, then you can speak to the mountains and say, be thou moved into yonder place. Well, in those early days, I believed. And I thought and felt that my faith was as great as a mustard seed. Never seen a mustard seed. Someone from the congregation produced the mustard seed. And my was I surprised to see how small that mustard seed was. And I said to myself, you mean to tell me that my faith is not as large or greater than a mustard seed? I said to myself, I've got some work to do on myself. I've got some work to do with my faith. Now, I didn't think that my faith would be strong enough or great enough that I would be able to move mountains, because I was thinking in terms of literary moving mountains, the Allegheny or the Appalachian Mountains. But that's not what, excuse me, what scripture is saying or stating. Mountains are those things, those situations or conditions that crop up in our lives that seem so insurmountable. We can't get around them. We can't get through them. We have no way of moving them. And that is because our faith is not strong enough to remove whatever conditions or challenges that are before us. But I am here this morning to say to you that if your faith is greater or the size of a mustard seed, you can do anything that you want to do by the power of your faith. You can move whatever mountains, whatever conditions or situations or challenges that might be in your path. Your faith in God is that which will work in you and through you and out into your outer world. Now, let me go back to this scripture, verse 31. when Jesus said the kingdom of heaven is likened to a grain of mustard seed, which a man took and sowed in his field. Now, first of all, we started thinking about a farmer. We connect fields with farmers. And all of us, a whole lot of us, we don't have fields. We are not farmers in that sense. But when scripture states that the kingdom of heaven is like a grain of mustard seed, which the man took and planted in his field, field represents, don't ever forget this when you read it and come across it. Field represents metaphysically or spiritually your consciousness. Your consciousness is the field within you. The man took the seed and sowed it in his field, in his consciousness. And if you're not at that level of understanding consciousness, in his mind, in his mind. Now, what was this seed that he planted or sowed in his field or in his consciousness? The seed represents truth. It represents truth. Now, of course, you have to understand this. You can plant all types of seeds in your consciousness, all types of thoughts, some positive and some negative. And whatever it is that you plant in your field of consciousness is what's going to germinate. It's what's going to grow. It's what's going to unfold within you and begin to express in your outer world or within your body on the organs and the tissue of your body. And that is why we must be aware of the negative thoughts that we think, because we create the negative energies, and those negative energies crystallizes on our cells, tissues, and organs. And then we have illnesses and sicknesses and all manner of diseases. Now, I want to understand one thing. That when we have an illness or a sickness, the masses seem to think or feel that there's something out here that has come into us and got on our cells and tissues and organs and made us sick, robbed us of our health. But that is so far from the truth. It is that we have planted the seeds of negativity in our field of consciousness. And these seeds have germinated and become fruitful. They've multiplied. And they have did to us or done to us the very things that we did not want. So we must be aware of the seeds that we are planting in our field of consciousness. And that scripture goes on to state, it says, the seed, that which is the least of all seeds, but when it is grown, you see, we take these thoughts into our consciousness. And the more we think, the more we add the negative energy or the positive energies to these thoughts that we have planted in the field of our consciousness, they grow, they multiply. And become a tree. Now the seeds have grown so big, they have multiplied so big, they have taken control. They have consumed us. And then we began to think and feel and act as if this is the very truth of what we are. And I'm sure that you have encountered people, both positive and negative. It has become a way of life with them. And you might hear them say, well, I was born this way. I was raised this way. I've lived this way. This is my life. This is who I am. This is what I am. Okay. And that is because you have made a conscious decision or an unconscious decision to be that way. And if not working for you, if it's working against you, then you need to do something about it. You need to be like the man with the axe. You need to, if it's a negative tree and it's working against you, you need to cut that tree down, all the way down, and take the wood and burn it in the fire. And then start to sow some good seeds in your consciousness or in your mind. Scripture states that the tree was the greatest among the herbs, and it became a tree, and the birds of the air came and lodged in the branches of the tree. Now, the birds of the air represents those positive and constructive thoughts. The more positive and constructive thinking that you do, the more you attract to you. The more negative and destructive thoughts that you think, the more you attract to you. And then you become so overburdened with the negative and destructive thoughts, the very essence of your life seems to seep away. You have no strength. You have no vitality. You have no motivation. And you're wondering what's wrong. And then we reach out to find all types of things to stimulate us, to give us a sense of motivation, to make us feel like we want to get up and go. We've got some get up and go. And all that we're doing is fooling ourselves. And we're working against the very essence of what we are. We're saying that we need the outside stimulant of the world to motivate us, to energize us, to revitalize us. But that is so far from the truth. When we turn within, and you've heard me say, teach, speak about the I am. I am is not only the power, but it is the fertilizer that fertilizes the seeds that you plant in your consciousness. It is the I am. That is the very essence, the source, the power within your physical body. And just stop and think for a minute. That whenever you use I am in reference to yourself, because we use it all the time, First, think about what it is that you are attaching to I am in reference to yourself. Think about it. If I am is the power within you, and you are attaching something to it that is not conducive to you or for you, then that power is going to bring forth into your life, into your consciousness, that which you have asked, that which you have claimed to be. And so we have to think about. I have a saying, before you speak, think about what it is that you're going to say. Because every word that you speak affects you first. You having some problem with some friends, and you don't like them, and you're going to start speaking negative things about them. First and foremost, realize that the negative thought, the negative energy was created within you first. So it's going to affect you more first than it will the person that you're directing it to. So why you want to do that to yourself? Why do you want to tear yourself down? Because there's someone else acting stupid. You must understand, there's an old saying that we used to say when we were children. And it still goes true today. We used to say, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never harm me. But we've gotten to a point wherein the slightest word that someone says about us, we ready to go to war. We ready to fight. We ready to tear up something because so-and-so said so-and-so about me. If it's not true, don't take it into your consciousness. If it's not true, don't take it into your consciousness. And once we take it into our consciousness, now it has an effect. And now we have to react to it. And once we react to something that is not the truth of what we are, we got a problem. We're going to be fighting for the rest of our lives. All types of lies and unbeliefs and everything that is not true, trying to defend something that is not truly who we are. It's like the mailman. He brings a letter to your house. He got the address on it, but the name is wrong. So you write a little note. Return to the sender. Not mine. That person don't live here. I don't know who that is. Send it back. And so it's the same thing when people are projecting negative energies at you. If it does not belong to you, don't accept it. Send it back. It's not yours. Send it back. Keep your mind and your consciousness clear. Don't be worried and concerned about what people are saying. You can't stop people from talking. You can't stop people from having their own opinion. But you can sure stop yourselves from accepting that which is not you. So as you take, you see, you don't have to, it's like you don't have to know a whole lot of truth. Just one truth will get you started. Just one. And that one truth that you need to know, that you should know, that you ought to know, I am. That's the one truth that you need to know. I am. And then you have to know and understand whatever it is that you attach to I am in reference to yourself, it is that which will materialize in you and express in and out in your work. That's the only truth that you need to work with. Start working with that one truth. And the I am in you is the power of the Spirit and the life of God. So many, many years ago, I had a student, nice guy. He was raised Catholic. So he had come to me one day for some counseling. And I said to him, do you know that you are a child of God? And he looked at me kind of strangely. He said, no. He said, no, I'm not a child of God. And I said, well, what are you? He said, well, I'm like a distant cousin or something like that. I'm a distant relative. I said, well, what makes you think that you're not a child of God? He said, well, that's the way I've always felt. I've always felt like I was, an in-law, outlaw or something. I said, no, you're a child of God. Now, I don't know what his religion was teaching him about the family tree, but he could not accept that he was a child of God. And so when we cannot accept a child of God, then we can't live the life that we should be living. Because we don't feel as if we are a part. We don't feel and think that we are connected to the very source that maintains, sustains, and have given us life. And if you're not a child of God, I know some people will say, well, I'm a child of my mother and father. Yeah. Your mother and father are guardian. Your mother and father didn't give you a life. They gave you a physical body. But God gave you life. God gave you life. And we can never be separated from this source that is God. You see, if we could be separated from this source that is God, we wouldn't even be here. We would not exist. There is no existence without God. There's no life. God is the life of everything that there is. So take this seed of I am, plant it deep within your field of consciousness. And by your positive, constructive thoughts, water the seed of that which you have planted within your consciousness. The I am is the fertilizer. Not only is it the fertilizer, but it is the power. And I am will bring forth from your consciousness, from the seed that you have planted in your consciousness, all that you ever desire. That which is for your highest good will always open the doors of prosperity, success, and be a blessing unto you. forever and forever. It will attract to you. You've heard the old saying, birds of feather flock together. You know, all the negative people run together, all the positive people run together, or be together. I wouldn't say run together. Like minds think alike. And so this is what we want to attract. This is what we want to grow from within us. That consciousness that will attract our highest good. That consciousness that will create and bring forth our highest good. And let's understand one thing. You know where that scripture states, the kingdom of heaven the kingdom of heaven. And where did Jesus say this kingdom was located? Within you. The kingdom of heaven is located within you. And if the kingdom of heaven be within you, then where is God? Where is God? You know, the masses of people are looking outside of themselves, up in the heaven, up in the sky, around the moon, and all of them with the sun, looking for God and thinking all of this, that I got to travel up here. Well, let me tell you something. There ain't no spaceship or rocket ship that have gone out there and went nowhere or found the kingdom of heaven and came back and said, we've seen the kingdom. We've been there, passed by it. We can tell you where it's located in the constellation. The master teacher said the kingdom is within you. So how come you're looking outside of yourself? How come you're looking outside of yourself for your good? How come you're looking outside of yourself for anything when you have it all within you? Have always had it within you, and it will always be there within you until you can properly use I am and bring forth the good that has always been within you. Plant the seeds in the field of your consciousness, the seeds of righteousness, the seeds of blessedness, the seeds of prosperity and success, the seeds of perfect health. And when you use I am in reference to yourself, know that whatever it is that you are attaching to I am is what will manifest and demonstrate in your life. And so it is. Namaste.